Hey, warm welcome to this podcast. David Marshall here. So today we're talking about manifestation, law of attraction, because once you know that that stuff is real, once you begin to accept it more and more and your kind of paradigm of the world shifted, then you want to be able to use it. And that's actually partly what we're here for. We're here to learn that our consciousness, our thoughts, emotions, and desires actually get created and manifest, made real in the reality in which we find ourselves. And in my experience over the last, 50 years of out-of-body experiences and talking to dead people, they're not really dead, all that kind of stuff, then it's the same with every reality. Every reality we have is a manifestation of who we are, of our identity, beliefs, desires, and expectation. And we're here to learn that. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Now, wherever you find it, if you're on YouTube, please do subscribe to the channel and like the video. You will find a link around here if you want to support the podcast. I've created an amazing training to help you remove yourself of all those limiting beliefs. It's called Manifesting Mastery, based on my own experiences and successes and trials. And it's a very, very useful training. It's about $5 and it helps us just pay for the things we use for the podcast. And what we're going to do now is get into the step-by-step processes of really what are the biggest things that are stopping you actually achieving and manifesting what you want. And so we're going to have a look at the big reasons why you're not getting the results you want. We're going to have a look at what people struggle with, different roles of things like patience in the manifesting process and how you can work with that. Also, we're going to have a look at expectations and a belief system around that. Got some practical tips for removing, changing your mindset. And also at the end, I've got a couple of real life examples of things I've done. So stick around to the end and hopefully that'll inspire you to keep going. So if we have a think about the big reasons that you're not seeing the results that you want, then it's got to come back to your beliefs. And that is the key. That's why, the main training that we do and I do with people is all about understanding what they believe. Our belief system is like a can of worms and we simply do not know what we think. We're so limited. And so the key thing to have a think about is when you're struggling to create what you want, it's going to fall under a number of areas. It may be that you have core beliefs that are simply not allowing reality to manifest. Doesn't matter how many affirmations you do, how much you meditate, doesn't matter how, what crystals you have, nothing will work. And that's because fundamentally you have a core belief, often hidden inside, which might be about self-worth. It might be about whether you deserve it. If you are struggling time and time again, and there's a pattern in your life, then that is a very good indication that you have a core belief that is not allowing you and the reality to manifest what you want. Essentially, you're putting the brakes on. It's like trying to manifest with the handbrake on or drive a car with the handbrake on. So what you need to do is, if there's a very specific area, there's a couple of things to do. The first one, go into your dreams. Dreams for me are one of the most powerful and useful ways that I get to change my thoughts, my expectations, my feelings and emotions. And it really has been transformative to me. So if we think about a dream as a separate state of consciousness to this one, when we're in waking consciousness, we're bombarded with jobs and things we've got to do and people, and it's overwhelming. It's quite challenging actually to kind of get out that mindset. When you're in dreams, then the ego portion of yourself, the self that operates in physical reality, is then at peace. It's relaxed. It's not operating in the same way. And therefore, if you can have the intention to solve this problem, understand this problem and resolve it within dreams, just by suggesting just before you go to sleep, then what will happen is that inner self, because your inner self really wants to help you, and you get to direct your consciousness, your results, your reflection, just as you do in daily life, you get to do it in your dream reality. So the first thing I would say is, if you're really struggling, you're not seeing the results that you want, head into your dreams. The second one is, go and get yourself a cup of coffee if you are in the waking state, and just sit down and see how you feel about whatever it is you're trying to create. It could be health, it could be money, it could be relationships. I guarantee you, if you sit quietly enough, just relax, maybe have a pen and paper there, just allow yourself to feel the feelings simply around the subject. And what you will do is you will uncover some uncomfortable feelings, some worries, some concerns. Often people want to create something, but they don't want to take the responsibility for it. So they might want to say, look, I want to be a millionaire, but I don't actually want to, I don't want to be responsible for that much money. What would I do with it? There's all these conflicting ideas that people have. And certainly for me, beliefs and ideas around my body and about abundance and weight have been prevalent, and self-worth. And I'll tell you a little bit about those in a minute. Okay, so that's what you've got to do. You've got to go in there. I would say if you're trying to create something and it's not working and it's just not happening, go into your dreams and take that time out, and also be patient with yourself. This is the process that you're in. This is kind of where the rubber hits the road, where you're actually learning to deal with your beliefs and then allow yourself and then allow the law of attraction and your manifesting ability to then take kind of control of that after it. But you need to really remove and begin to change those ideas. And I promise you, if you go into your dreams, be patient with yourself, take a week out, say, look, I'm not going to focus on this for 2 weeks. I'm not going to carry on with my affirmations. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to go into my dreams and I'm going to suggest to my dream self, that inner portion, let's go and solve this. And it's really quite interesting to then decide that you want to remember those dreams. And you may say, well, Dave, I don't remember them. We'll get a pen and paper. That's a belief that you can't remember your dreams. You absolutely, absolutely can. So they're things that you can really begin to work on and just let yourself off the hook. If something's not working for you, the key piece of advice I can give you is relax. It's almost like if you're driving a car and you're pressing too much energy on the accelerator, feels like it's out of control, particularly if the handbrake's off, there's no way, it's very unwieldy. And that's what your belief system will be in those areas where you're uncomfortable. Because if you think of an area where you're totally comfortable, it's clean, it's clear, there's no problems, there's no limiting beliefs or emotions or anything. It's just how you feel. Areas where you're probably trying to make some changes and manifest something different, those areas are cluttered, they're confused, they are, they're causing you problems emotionally, physically, psychically, and kind of in your life. And so you need to have some patience to pick those apart. Okay, so the next thing is the importance of positive expectations and a strong belief that you can do this. So there are two paradigms that we live in. The first paradigm we were brought up in was the one where, and this may be for you, I would imagine this for most people, where we're taught, we go to school, that the five senses are simply the limit of reality and that information outside of those isn't relevant, it isn't real, and all those types of things. Even though lots of us has had very strange and spiritual experiences from young ages, we are taught that the official line of consciousness is that there's a physical reality and that's all there is, that there's a physical planet, physical body, all those types of things. So it's really important that as you begin to develop an awareness that that's not all of reality, that's just a very small part of reality, that you firm up that idea within yourself and say, I'm actually have a very different worldview. And what I'd suggest that a lot of people struggle with is they feel a bit awkward about that. They feel as though they're saying, they're a bit weird, they're a bit strange, But the truth is that a soul, a personality like you that is multidimensional, it's actually timeless and formless. In a certain lifetime, it will choose to develop itself. It will choose the right moment, the right circumstances in order to begin to expand its idea of who it is. And what that means is that whatever culture you find yourself in, you have to go beyond it. Whatever official line of consciousness you find yourself in, you have to go beyond it. So feel good about it, feel positive. And what that will do is that will shore up your belief system and it'll allow you to create some more positive expectations. If you're trying to manifest something and you're removing your beliefs and you're untangling that belief system, your emotions, then begin to expect that reality is going to respond to you. The power of expectation is very important. And that comes when you go, you know what? For me, my old paradigm of the official line of consciousness is dead. It's gone. It no longer operates. And therefore, I'm going to fully accept this other, more expanded view of reality and myself. And you will accept portions of yourself that you didn't accept before. So the portions of yourself that you didn't identify with, the portion that could manifest, the portion that's immortal, they were kind of your non-self before, and now you're bringing them into the sense of identity. So what I would say is continue to do that. It will allow you to manifest, make the changes. more quickly, more effectively, and often you'll just feel better before you see some changes in your physical reality. So here's a couple of tips for changing your mindset. The first one is recognize that you are not your old self. You've got a different paradigm and begin to work in that paradigm. If you are struggling with beliefs, then think about core beliefs. There's two types of beliefs. Core beliefs, which are things like time exists, I am not worthy, life is hard, there's good and evil. They're core beliefs. And what I would suggest is you go and explore those. It's the most practical thing I can suggest that you do is explore those core beliefs. And there is another podcast on those somewhere, and you can search that. I will certainly, if I haven't created one, then I will do one. But think about the most practical thing is not to do the affirmations. It's not to do all that other stuff. It's not to buy more crystals or do more yoga, or clear your chakras. They are all belief systems. Okay, they are not real. They are belief systems based in, again, the official kind of line of consciousness. And we need to go beyond that. You need to go beyond that. And so a couple of examples that I've had, which is I was struggling with my weight. I'd say, my weight, but my control of my body. I would say struggling with my ability to feel comfortable with my body. And so I went into dreams and I really realized that I had a dream that I was fearful of being slim. And I then had another dream about my mother, and I put the two together, and this is over a period of a couple of weeks, and I realized that the ideas that my mum had given me that, men have to be big and strong, that, you don't share your emotions and all those types of things, they were playing out in my physical body. And that's why I was finding it difficult to maintain the body that I wanted. I was kind of yo-yoing a little bit in my diets. I just kind of couldn't get hold of it. And it was an example, that core belief I had was driven, it wasn't my belief, it was my mother's, was driven by this idea actually that I needed to be big and strong. And for me, that meant big, it meant heavy. That's how I interpreted that as a young child. And thankfully, what's happened now is I've been able to lose, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, something like that, and continue to feel much better than I've ever felt before. Because in the dreams, I was able to go beyond my limited the subconscious of my mind and understand things that were going on. It's exactly the same in other areas of my life. And certainly the main thing is to think about, you deserve this success, you deserve the money, you deserve the happiness. So when you're doing all this kind of stuff, the struggle comes because often we just don't feel that we deserve it. And so that's really key. That really helped me as well. I realized I started to say to myself, I watched my inner talk, that I do deserve this. I do deserve happiness. I can have more joy in my life. Life is meant to be happy. And, I am part of reality. Reality is part of me. And therefore, I can create the joy and happiness and the abundance that I would ascribe to any consciousness, any soul, any spirit. It's me. And this reality is like a mirror coming back. So I hope that's helpful for you. So there we go. So we've covered some big reasons why you're not seeing the results. If you are thinking about instant results, then that's tricky, almost impossible when you have got limiting beliefs in place. So that's why it's quite, what I want to do on this channel is be very honest with you. So when people are saying, instantly get your ex back, instantly become a millionaire, that's it's almost a nonsense, I would say, because the areas that we choose to manifest in and to take this journey are areas where we have struggled. So it's not that it's not possible. I'm open to the miracle, but my experience is there's a certain process that has to come, and therefore what people say is instant results. Those instant results are internal. It needs a certain amount of energy and permission to come, if you like, into physical reality. So have a little bit of patience. And, give yourself a week, give yourself 2 weeks. And if you do that, you'll get much, much better results. Okay, so that's it for this podcast. Hope that's interesting for you. Do please support the channel around this. You'll find a link to a really awesome training, Manifesting Mastery. Again, it's about $5. It really helps us. And if you are on the podcast, then please subscribe. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Believe in yourself. And remember that you can do this. You are born with the ability to do it, and you have now taken yourself into a new paradigm because the time is right for you as a soul and consciousness to step outside of the official line of consciousness. So enjoy it, embrace it, and I will see you on the next podcast. Take care.